Hey VC, it's Dave here in Texas, and today's videos are rock music that the title starts with I. I saw Randy Weaver's video here the other day and really enjoyed it, and he picked out a bunch of albums that I have some of them either on CD or on vinyl. But they weren't the same ones I picked out, so it's interesting what people come up with. At any rate, I picked out 10, and for the most part, they're, my favorite albums that start with the letter I. And I tried to put them in the order that I bought them. So, starting with the earliest ones to the later ones that I bought or that I could think of. Anyway, here's the first one. This is The Association, Inside Out. It had the hit song Windy on it. And the best I could remember, this came out in 1967, and the best I can remember, going back 50 years plus, is that I do remember the song being on the radio. I think I got this album for my birthday. Either that or I got some money, and I bought this album with the birthday money. But, it's still a really great album. Actually, in the summers, I get kind of nostalgic for kind of the era of the 60s, late 60s. And I put this album on along with some of their other ones. They're kind of a sunshine pop band or Baroque type rock band. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about them was that their vocal harmonies and their song arrangements. And, I still like them today, and that's 50 years later now. I don't know how this album would hold up, or how somebody from, a younger generation, 2 and 3 times removed from me, how they would view this album. I have no idea, but yeah, I still really like it. Iron Butterflies, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. This is one of their best well-known albums, and I'd probably say this album was one of the one that kind of, was a little bit of a template for hard rock music and maybe metal music in a way. But, back in the day, which just came out, I think in 67 or 68, it really was a big seller. And they had the longer version of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and they also had the short version, and just depended on the radio DJ as to which one he would play. But and I still play Iron Butterfly today. Occasionally I'll get in the mood for it. But of course, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida here takes up the whole side 2, which is 17 minutes long. But actually, I like these shorter songs on here too. Like the ones Flower and Beads, which to me is very reminiscent of the time of the 60s. Most Anything You Want. Are You Happy? And Doug Engel, which is this guy here, he wrote most of these songs. Now with Iron Butterfly, they had a lot of different band member changes. You can go over to Wikipedia and read about them. It's kind of interesting, actually. But they had a lot of band members come in and out. And Doug Engel is their organist and singer on most of these. He wrote, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs on this one. And they had just switched their guitars to a Eric Braun, who was a very young guitarist, age 17 at the time. And but anyway, yeah, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida was a big hit for them. Actually, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, I would imagine for back then, Now, I didn't look this up, but, they sold, I think it said 7 million albums during that year or something like that, but like became a really big seller over time too. And, this is almost like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon in that aspect, is that, being a big album seller, at least, for that time period. Allman Brothers, Idlewild South, their second album. And I really didn't know too much about the Allman Brothers, actually, when I bought this album. I remember I was about in Central Texas at San Marcos at the time, I believe is when I bought this album. So this had to come out like in the 70s. Yeah, it's 1970 actually. But it's got their version of Hoochie Coochie Man on here by Willie Dixon. And Greg Allman wrote 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 songs on here. And it starts out with Revival, which was an instrumental by Dickie Betts, who was their other guitarist in it, Dwayne Allman being, their main guitarist, I guess you could say. But yeah, really neat album if you like the Allman Brothers. And, another one I can listen to today and, enjoy. This is King Crimson's Islands. This is their, I think it's their third or fourth album. I think their fourth album. And I believe the UK version had a different cover on it. I've kind of always liked this cover too, though. But this album for Crimson was more mellow in a way. And this was the last album that one of their members, Peter Seinfeld, who just mostly, I think, did the words, that he was the last album that he was on writing the lyrics for it, which were always thought he wrote very good lyrics. And actually some of the other members on here, I think, left shortly after this. Again, with King Crimson, a lot of the members, they had a lot of changeover. And Robert Fripp would, want to go a different direction. And after this album, I believe was, they started into that other change with the, Lark's Tongue and Aspect and all that type thing. But yeah, sort of an exotic album, has this kind of an exotic feel to it, kind of jazzy and atmospheric. But yeah, enjoyable album, King Crimson. This is Todd Rundgren's Initiation album. I got to see Rundgren back in the day, and he was sort of almost in this period here. But I still think Rundgren is a real interesting musician in a lot of ways. Of course, he started out in the psychedelic band, the Nazz, and then sort of went his own way, doing solo albums and everything. I like the album cover on here quite a bit. But this is kind of real, it's progressive rock, but kind of real cosmic, I guess you could say, or, incorporating a lot of styles. But, it kind of, one song, all the songs kind of synchronize into the next song really well on this album. Yeah, I just saw where Todd Rundgren was going on tour with Adrian Belew, who used to play in King Crimson, which would make for an interesting concert. But yeah, Rundgren made a lot of good albums back in the day, and I don't know that any of these, well, Real Man was a popular song. I don't know that it was necessarily a hit, but he also does a lot of songs on here that has to do with Eastern thought or philosophy, something like that. Anyway, good musician. This is Ry Cooder's Into the Purple Valley. And Ry Cooder started out in Captain Beefheart's band, guitars for it. And I didn't buy this album when it first came out. I have a friend that lives down in Austin, and he was getting into Ry Cooder, and generally whenever he got into something, I'd want to kind of pick it up too. It has interesting gatefold, and came with some of the lyrics here. And you see this little picture here. It says Death Valley, into the purple valley of romance and adventure. Now, supposedly, I read a little bit about Ry Cooder on Wikipedia today, and said he injured his eye when he was a child, and poked his eye or something like that, and had to have surgery, and a glass eye was put in due to him injuring his eye. But it sure didn't hurt his guitar playing at all. This album is sort of got a lot of different styles on it, which is what you can expect with Ry Cooder. And this was his first album, so he still hadn't quite got down his, what direction he wanted to go. And I don't know that he got better and better over time, although this album is really good. But this album has stuff like on it with blues. He was heavily influenced by rhythm and blues, kind of Depression era songs on here, or old-timey songs, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But there's some calypso on here and a little bit of music that's kind of country influenced. But Ry Cooder's played on a lot of different albums and a lot of different bands as a sideman and all that. And a really great album, actually, and a really great musician. Plays a lot of slide guitar. This is Iggy Pop and the Idiot. I remember when this came out too, because I had gone down to Austin with a friend of mine, and it must have been around 77 when this album came out. And at the time, I think we went down there to see Genesis play there in Austin. And we stopped in at Dolby Mall there, which is a dormitory on the strip of Austin. And at that time, they had a record store right inside the mall. It was a big high-rise thing. And this was a brand new album that they had that they were playing. Along with something else, they might have been playing the new Genesis album, which was A Trick of the Tail, now that I'm thinking about it. But I picked up this and a couple other albums, as did my friend. And this was around the time that Iggy Pop was hanging out with David Bowie, I think. But, a lot of people show the Stooges albums and everything, but this is a pretty good album. If you like the Stooges, you'd probably like this, although this isn't as overly energetic as, say, the Stooges albums are. It's a little bit more mellow, but all the songs on it are pretty interesting, kind of druggy, druggy sounding, I think. But it's got a song on here that he co-wrote with David Bowie that they both did called China Girl. So Iggy Pop the Idiot. This is Gentle Giant's album Interview. And like all their albums, it's another great album by them. Really talented band. Guitar, drums, but also other instruments like bass and violin. Band from England with really idiosyncratic songwriting and the way they played their music. I don't know. They were just really a great band. Could have seen them down when I was living in Austin. I didn't go, but I sure wished I would have, because it would have been a great concert. But, you know, this has got I Lost My Head, Timing, you know, a lot of good songs on it. This is the band's Islands. Islands, yeah. And not much is said about this album, but I think it's one of their better ones. You know, you've got the In Big Pink, the Brown album, and then the one after that, I can't ever remember the title to that one, but it was the one that had all the colors, multicolors on the album cover. And then I think after that one, I would say this one would be another good album to pick up, or maybe my fourth favorite. This one, let's see, does this have anything on it? That it's got Georgia on My Mind by Hoagy Carmichael, which is a cover. Let's see here. Ain't That a Lot of Love? I don't recall, other than Hoagy Carmichael's song, any of the song titles on here. So, but overall, I think this album holds together well and is well made. So yeah, I pulled this out not too long ago just to rehear it, and it still holds up today. I was going to show this cassette when I was talking about Iron Butterfly. This is Iron Butterfly's Greatest Hits, which was produced by Rhino, and it's got can't hardly read on here, 21 songs on it. It's got the short version of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida on it, but this is a really good album if you just want to hear a bunch of stuff by them, which I occasionally get in that mood. So yeah, Iron Butterfly. And then this is the last one here. This is Andy Summers and Robert Fripp, I Advanced Masked. And I've always wondered what that title meant. I looked it up on the computer and I couldn't find anything, just with a casual search on it. But of course, Andy Summer was in the Police, guitarist for the Police, and of course Robert Fripp was the guitarist for King Crimson. And it's just guitar duos, and them, you know, rechanneling their guitar through various, you know, devices, guitar devices and stuff like that. But they play pretty well together. And this is a pretty good album. Although I gotta say, I really like the second album that came after this one better than this one. But I pulled this one out just for the song title. Like I said, I have no idea what that song title means. Evidently, I would think it means something, but then who knows? Maybe they just came up with the song title and went with it. I Advanced Masked by Andy Summers and Robert Fripp. So there's 10 albums, and I hope everybody's enjoying their fourth. We got an overcast sky today, and actually I'm enjoying that. I hope we get some rain out of it. But yeah, enjoy your holiday and be well.